Well, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining today. My name is Morgan Marovich. I'm the Vice President of Foundation Relations for the ASAE Research Foundation. We thank you for joining us and taking your time while we talk about more estate planning for association professionals, but also more about our revised legacy society for the ASAE Research Foundation. This is a part 2 in our new donor first look. So thank you for being involved in the foundation. Back in 2022, many of you know, or if you haven't, we kind of put the foundation on pause, went through an assessment, and from that, we've put together many task force and focus groups to really bring to you more resources and more things that our donors and those involved and supporters are looking for with the ASAE Research Foundation. From your feedback, we have worked to reinvigorate our legacy task force, our legacy society program, to bring more benefits to you, and basically make it where it is a program that you're leaving a lasting legacy to the association community in a way that is meaningful to you. So with that, I hope you learn a lot today, but also ways that you can be planned for your future with also supporting the association community. I'd like to turn it over to Brian Haney, who was the chair of our Legacy Society Task Force, and appreciate all of the work that our task force has done to reinvigorate this program, but also work to reimagine and provide additional benefits to our donors that decide to take a part of this.
Awesome. Thank you, Morgan. And thanks to everyone for joining us today. I'm excited. It's been a great project to get us to a place where we have this wonderful newly launched Legacy Society and the opportunities that it can present for our community. And so I'm just thrilled to kind of kick this off and want to just talk about kind of where we are in terms of the opportunity. We certainly wanted to make sure that we provide as many avenues for engagement as possible from active donors, but also the opportunity for any one of us to consider what you might be able to do at some point in the future to leave a legacy and to provide value maybe beyond a current donation. And so that's really, this is another avenue to make impactful contributions and to do so recognizing how much the association, industry, and community means to you. So we've also, as we're rolling this back out, excited about the amplified recognition and enhanced partnership that donors are going to receive as a result of this. Legacy Society donors are going to be recognized as leaders in the community because we're not only honoring your generosity at present, but also certainly recognizing you for the fact that you have a deeper wish to fulfill here by making a commitment to leaving that legacy gift in that donation. And so we really want to make sure that the community embraces and supports your generosity in that area. I'd love to just kind of cover real quickly some of the enhanced benefits because it's pretty exciting. So effective September 1st, members of the Legacy Society at the new minimum gift threshold of $15,000 will receive a pretty expansive, prestigious suite of benefits, including some of the following here. You'll be invited to a pinning ceremony of the new Legacy Society donors. You'll receive a donor spotlight in a quarterly e-newsletter. You will be recognized on ASAE Research Foundation virtual donor wall. So that way, electronically, anyone will be able to go in and see what you've done and what you've accomplished. You'll have the opportunity to participate in a Legacy Society town hall with ASAE Research Foundation leadership for strategic updates on the foundation. You'll also receive a complimentary invitation to attend a VIP Q&A with the keynote at ASAE's annual meeting. Some of you have probably potentially heard about this or maybe done this in the past. And you'll receive a complimentary ticket to the ASAE Research Foundation's VIP Classic. So pretty exciting package of benefits for something. This is certainly something you're wanting to consider to be a part of. And I think the other element to this that we're really excited about is the broader selection of giving options, because sometimes, it's important to be given the chance to maybe have some engagement on that. So um, I'll make sure to cover a few more things towards the end here, but I'm excited to kind of hand this off now and introduce our other panelist, Thomas Moore. And Tom is a relationship manager. Yeah, it's still Monday early. An endowment and foundation advisory vice president at Glen Mead's Philadelphia office. Tom provides comprehensive advisory and administrative services to endowments, foundations, and other non-for-profit organizations. He leads clients towards accomplishing their philanthropic goals through his experience in administrative best practices, as well as grants, foundation, and board management. A little background: prior to joining Glen Mead, Tom worked at the Merrill Lynch and U.S. Trust subsidiaries of Bank of America Corporation. He also has served as internal trust specialist with responsibilities for educating clients on philanthropic and wealth transfer techniques. And he also leads a team of trust professionals responsible for the management of institutional nonprofit client accounts. He received a Master of Law degree in taxation from Villanova University and a Juris Doctorate degree, magna cum laude, from Dickinson School of Law. He earned his Bachelor of Arts degree, magna cum laude, in history and political science from Gettysburg College. And he's been actively involved in a variety of charitable activities, most notably his service to Gettysburg College Alumni Association and the World Champion Reading Buccaneers Drum and Bugle Corps. He was inducted into the Buccaneers Hall of Fame in 2015. So, Tom, thank you for being a part of this. I will turn things over to you.
Great. Thank you, Brian, and good morning, everybody. Again, thanks, Brian, and thank you, Maisha and Morgan, for your collaboration. Just a little bit of background. As Brian mentioned, I'm part of Glen Mead's Endowment and Foundation Management team, and we manage investments for nonprofit and foundation clients. My role also includes working with nonprofits and advising on donor engagement and plan giving. Prior to my life in financial services, I worked as a development officer for a community foundation. And as my resume indicates, I also served as an estate planning attorney. So kind of given me a unique perspective on how the worlds of planning and finance and philanthropy kind of intersect. And I'm happy to be with you today. So thanks for having me. Our goals for today are really to introduce the need for comprehensive estate planning now and at all stages of life, really. It's a bit of an unapologetic commercial for all of us having a circle of advisors that includes an attorney, a tax advisor, an investment and financial advisor, other specialists like insurance advisors or retirement specialists, or philanthropic advisors. And certainly our relationships with advisors evolve over time. Our circle of advisors may change or expand or contract, but this is really an appeal for thorough and thoughtful planning. I won't be giving legal advice. My goal really is to give you a whole bunch of stuff to think about and talk about, not only with yourself, but with your spouse and your loved ones. It's also not a deep dive on any particular topic, because I think many of the things that we touch on today can really be whole programs in and of themselves. So hopefully, our goal here is to get you to think and to plan and then to act. So let's talk about estate planning and what it is. It's about way more than just having a will and giving away your stuff. And when done right, it's comprehensive and it's also fluid. So the plans that we have are based on a point in time, but we should revisit those plans regularly to make sure that the plan still reflects our needs and our objectives and our goals and our values. And many of life's moments along our continuum might trigger that review, with births and deaths and marriages and divorces, our children growing up and reaching adulthood, our children revealing their financial acumen or lack thereof, children having a special need, children getting married, children blessing us with grandchildren. Maybe we have an inheritance or an accumulation of wealth, or we've started a family business, or the business has taken off, or we want to think about business succession or retirement. We have healthcare diagnoses or scares. that might prompt us to act. And then also our philanthropic impulses and our desire to leave the world a better place and our legacy. Of course, that includes the role that this foundation plays in your life, and Brian will certainly have more to say about this later on. But today we'll discuss sort of major categories for your consideration and the importance of having a plan, which gives you peace of mind. And also it's peace of mind for your loved ones, and it makes things easier for them. So, the basic notion is that everyone has a plan all the time. Um, and the question is it the right plan for you? Is it what you want or what you need? Are you in control, or really is the state legislature where you live or the courts of your jurisdiction in control? And so that's the choice that you have to make. But the good news is you're in control. So let's talk about planning during your lifetime. This is about what happens to you and your property. Now, in terms of your property, what happens if you're incapacitated and can't make decisions for yourself? In most states, there's a court proceeding where you're declared to be incapacitated. That takes time, that takes money. It might not be a pleasant experience. It might not be a voluntary experience. And usually a guardian or a conservator is appointed over your property. That person or organization has rules to follow, including accounting to the court. And because of that, your needs might not be met as easily or efficiently as they otherwise could be. And it's entirely avoidable by creating a power of attorney. So do one of those things instead and talk to your advisor about a power of attorney. The operative question is, who do you trust to manage your affairs if you can't do it for yourself? And who else might succeed those people if they can't step up and help you? This extends to healthcare and personal decisions as well. If you don't decide, then your loved ones have to step in and have you adjudicated, incapacitated, and be appointed. A guardian or a conservator would make would make decisions about your care, where you live, and so forth. Maybe the state, county, or local government or social workers or other folks might get involved as advocates for you. But again, this is avoidable with a healthcare power of attorney or a document which sets out your wishes with respect to your healthcare. So the question is, who do you trust to make decisions for you as you would make for yourself if you can't do it? And who else might succeed them? Finally, with respect to lifetime decisions, we have end of life decision making. If you're in a terminal condition, what are your wishes? And this is really sensitive, but it's critically important. If you don't document your wishes, and there's a dispute among your loved ones, then we all know about what can happen. We've seen in our lifetimes really high profile disputes that took place in court, whether it's the Karen Quinlan situation in New Jersey or the Terry Schiavo situation in Florida, all tragic, all avoidable, really, if people create a living will, which states their wishes with respect to end of life decision making. So very important. And so as you can see, estate planning is not just about giving your stuff away when you're no longer here. But let's talk about that next. If we can advance the slide, Maisha, please. So let's talk about what happens to your assets. And again, everybody has a plan. So if you do nothing, the state decides. My guess is that you would rather decide for yourself. So intestacy, the laws of all 50 states, the intestacy statutes govern what happens to your assets. That they'll pass through your estate, and it's based upon your biological family tree in most situations. Is this what you want? It's a simple question. If that's what you want, great. But if that's not totally what you want, you're in control to do something else, and you can do a will. A will directs what happens to your property and under what circumstances. And you're giving away property that is in your name that doesn't pass by virtue of a contract like a life insurance or a policy or a retirement plan. It also doesn't include property that passes based on how it's titled, like joint tenants with right of survivorship, or tenants in common, or tenants by the entirety. So how your assets are titled matters. And your advisor should be skilled at dealing with that and should discuss it with you, and everything should be coordinated around how assets are titled. In your will, you can establish a trust that will get funded after your death. Again, who do you trust to administer this? Who are your executors? Who are their alternates or their successors? In your will, you could also establish guardianships for minor children. You could um, you could handle the placement of pets that you own, which is very important to many people. So the moral of the will story is to do one and revisit it from time to time. Um, I mentioned property passing by contract. That's not part of your will. Things like IRAs and 401ks and insurance policies. Those don't pass through your probate estate by intestacy unless the beneficiary designation attached to it directs it, which is usually not done. So the beneficiary designation then becomes very important. If you fail to name a beneficiary in your IRA or 401k or your insurance policy, the asset passes according to the terms of that plan. Is it to your spouse? Is it to your estate? Then you have questions about, well, what happens if you name your spouse and you get divorced, but you fail to change the designation? What happens there? So it's an important question. So the moral of that story is to make sure that the beneficiary designation is what you want. The IRA or the 401k is oftentimes people's their largest asset, their largest financial asset. So plan for it. Keep the beneficiary designation up to date and part of your comprehensive plan. It's just as important as a will or a trust, and your advisor should be asking about these assets and coordinate them with all of the other documents that they prepare for you, so you have a seamless, comprehensive plan. And a charity can also be a great beneficiary of an IRA, a 401k, or a life insurance policy. And it might be a great choice from a tax savings perspective. So that's a whole separate topic, but keep that in mind as well. So now let's talk about how property passes. And again, you get to decide that. Do you want to give property outright? A lot of that depends on who the beneficiary is. Do you want your kids to have their inheritance outright? What were you like when you were 18? What were you like when you were 21 or 25? That's an important consideration, don't you think? So, trusts are ways to structure assets to be managed and to provide for the benefit of the beneficiary as you direct. So you get to dictate how much they get, when, under what circumstances. You can use a trust to offer protection from their creditors, from bad actors who might take advantage of them, or from themselves. And they're used for a variety of purposes. Principal among them is tax planning. You can use trusts to maximize tax efficiency and savings if that's a priority for you. The federal estate tax exemption is currently about $13.6 million per person. That will revert to about $7 million at the beginning of 2026 if we don't have any new legislation passing through Congress and signed by the president before then. So that's an important planning consideration, and that is a whole series of topics that we could dive into. But with a trust, you pick a trustee to manage the assets and manage the decision making. It can be an individual, it could be a corporation like Glenmead, or it could be both. Who do you trust to be fair and competent and to honor your wishes and not necessarily substitute their own for yours? You could provide for multiple groups of beneficiaries and multiple generations. Maybe you provide for your spouse and then your kids, or then your grandkids, or a spouse and then the ASAE Research Foundation, or your kids and then the foundation. Charitable trusts are also a big part of estate planning, either during your lifetime or at your death. You could give assets in whole or in part to charity. There are things called split interest gifts or planned gifts in which you could retain an income interest for yourself, and then after your death or a period of time, what's left in the trust goes to charity. And a big consideration here is what assets you might use to fund those types of trusts. So again, lots of variations, lots of variables. Let's talk about a couple of other planning considerations with respect to wills and trusts. An important consideration is equal versus equitable treatment. Do you treat all of your beneficiaries equally? Let's suppose you have 3 kids. Do they each get equal shares? Do they each get outright or all in trust? Do you treat them the same? What if one is successful in business, but the other is that starving artist, and you support you support and love your kids equally, but well, let's suppose one of them is really good with money and the other's not. Um, what are their spouses like, or their home lives like? Do you trust their spouses? What about situations with blended families? Maybe, if you're in a second marriage and you have a new spouse, but you have kids from a prior marriage, do you treat or you've brought children from your new spouse to the family? Do you treat all of them equally? Did you adopt them? Could you adopt them? Maybe there's a prenuptial agreement that would change the discussion. Also, there's a lot of discussion now, for good reason, about non-nuclear or non-traditional families. Same-sex couples. Are you married? Are you unmarried? What's your relationship like with your biological family? Is there any estrangement? Who's in your quote chosen family? The point I'm trying to make here is it's important to talk about these things and think about these things and be intentional about them. And the only way to do that is to think through it and engage advisors. And oftentimes the non-financial or the non-tax things that are part of a plan are just as important as the financial matters. And so communication is key. And the other thing that I would say about that is I don't assume that your advisor is going to ask those deeply personal questions of you. And if they fail to, don't assume that it's not important. If I could leave you with one thing, it's this: if it's important to you, make sure it's on the table for discussion. Finally, I want to pivot to talking about philanthropy. And I'll turn it over to Brian in just a moment to do a deeper dive. But in my completely biased opinion, philanthropic planning should have a seat at the table along with all the other components of a wealth or estate plan. And your plan in all its forms should always be reflecting your values. It's a tangible representation of the legacy that we wish to leave. And so in addition to providing a plan for our families, we should consider philanthropy and be intentional about it. Let's think about what matters to us. What are our values? What are our passions? What are the values that we want to pass on to the next generation? What do we want to achieve with philanthropic planning? Certainly, tax savings might be part of it, but the philanthropic tail should be wagging the tax dog and not vice versa. So take some stock in what you value and build it into your plan. Let's talk briefly about major and capital giving. In addition to your regular sustaining annual gifts, as your wealth grows and as your assets grow, we tend to give larger, we tend to give differently, we tend to give more complex assets. So it's important to plan and coordinate that type of giving, not only with our advisors, but also the charities that we are supporting. And then finally, planned gifts are important to cement our legacy and build for the future. Endowment building is very important in the nonprofit space. If we give endowment type gifts, we can support this foundation, for 100 years from now. We can maximize our impact and secure tax savings. There are all kinds of vehicles to do this, all of which, again, can be a standalone topic for discussion: charitable trusts, gift annuities, pooled income funds. We can give unique assets to support these types of gifts, like business interests, timberland or mineral or oil and gas interests, art, for example. We give through all kinds of different vehicles like trusts or donor advised funds. We give during our lifetime, but we could also give as bequests or beneficiary designations with our IRA, our life insurance. But the key thing here is, do we wish to designate a specific purpose for the gift? And for that reason, if we do, it's important to work with the foundation to make sure it's effective, to marry up what's in your heart with the organization's needs, but also to make sure it's feasible. Is what you want to do consistent with the needs or the mission of the charity you wish to support? Is it legal? There are a lot of gifts out there that have failed because the purpose for which it was given is no longer, valid public policy, like, racially restrictive scholarships, for example, from a long time ago. So is it legal? And then the other important consideration is what you're doing or is what you're planning large enough to achieve the desired outcome? If what you wish to do with your giving has a price tag of X, per year, is that, are you leaving enough to make sure that that can actually be accomplished? And the way that you determine that is through purposeful discussion with people from the organizations that you're supporting. So I've given you an awful lot to think about in a very short amount of time. And it's lots to think about, lots to discuss with loved ones and with advisors. And so really the next step is to just get started and on your journey. So with that, I will pause. I will thank you for your time and your attention. And Brian, the floor is yours.
Well, that was awesome, Tom. Thank you so much. And yeah, I think I haven't been monitoring the chat, but before we dive in any further, it might be a good idea to allow for any kind of questions or comments specific to all of what you just shared, because that was a lot, and hopefully stuff that sparked some consideration and some thoughtfulness here among the attendees. So we can just open it up if anybody had something that they wanted to ask about now. Why don't we go ahead and field some of those?
Excellent. And feel free to take yourself off mute if you have a quick question that you want to pose.
All right. I know it's Monday, so lots to consider. So I will I mentioned this earlier. I'll keep things moving, and we'll allow people to continue to ask questions and engage, but just to kind of keep us on track. And feel free to put things in the chat as we keep going. But relaunching our Legacy Society program, and just you can kind of see we've been on a bit of a journey. Most of you who have been engaged on some level with the Research Foundation over the last any number of years are probably somewhat aware of that. And especially this particular piece of that rebrand, that relaunch, is something that I know the leadership, volunteer leaders, everyone's pretty excited about. So let me kind of get into that here. I'll let Maisha help with the slides for me. Yeah, it's just like the official coming out party for this. So that's an exciting thing for us to be celebrating right now. And so welcome. Yeah, let's say it. Let's do it right now. Welcome to the new relaunch Legacy Society, everybody. But what is the Legacy Society? And I know this has actually been somewhat confusing, I guess, over the years. So good to give some clarity here. But it's a specific part of the ASAE Research Foundation's giving circle, but it's designated for professionals willing to make a commitment to support the foundation, its research, and its efforts through plan giving, estate planning, or a pledge gift. So there's a variety of ways this can be done. And I know Tom covered more than I probably could have even shaken a stick at. But that's what the opportunity is to say, while it's always great to be able to provide, donations and funds today, if you're really inclined to also consider this, as part of your estate, your legacy, then this is what, we are thrilled to have you engaging on this level. And so we're going to be moving forward, providing donors with recognition and pretty amazing lineup of benefits for a threshold gift pledge of $15,000 or more. And so again, if this is something that you're kind of thinking about, then certainly after this call, raise your hand and we would love to kind of find a way to help you move that forward. Let me take some time now and go back through. I kind of mentioned at the beginning, but let me run through some of these benefits real quick. And I'm not sure if we also have them on the slide as well. Yep. All right. So this is pretty exciting. Just to know that you've got a lot of things come from doing good things and supporting the ASAE Research Foundation in this way. So pinning ceremony, something that I think we've seen and enjoyed over the years. You'll also be listed as a Legacy Society donor in the quarterly e-newsletter. Something new and exciting is we're creating a virtual donor wall where your name as a Legacy Society member will live in a virtual donor wall and get that kind of recognition. You will be invited to an annual Legacy Society town hall with ASAE President and CEO Michelle Mason and the members of the ASAE Research Foundation board for strategic updates. So that's also something pretty excited as well. You will be recognized by the Research Foundation at the annual meeting, as we have done in the past. And you'll also receive the complimentary invitation to attend the VIP Q&A with the keynote at the annual meeting, something that I had the wonderful privilege of doing the last couple of years. And man, this year's was pretty phenomenal. And you'll also receive a complimentary ticket to the ASAE Research Foundation's VIP Classic event at the annual meeting every year. So we are just extremely thrilled to have this as kind of a wonderful recognition package for something that I know is very significant, to be able to benefit the organization in such a significant way. And so certainly hope that everyone looks at this and sees this as the great kind of way to thank anyone for being a part of this and considering this. Let's see the next slide. So Tom talked about a lot of things. I think what are some of the ways, kind of maybe some of the easier ways, if you will, or the ways that we want to help you accomplish this? Is this something you're interested in doing? Certainly by indicating this is one of your wishes and your will, very easy way to make that happen, to indicate a carve out the amount. Also probably as easy, and maybe in some cases a little bit easier, to carve something out using existing life insurance, simply by creating an update to a beneficiary form on a permanent life insurance policy or an annuity contract as well to accomplish this. If you have certain types of assets, certain maybe bank accounts, there are ways to do this by updating kind of payable on death or beneficiary designations for those types of accounts as well. And then, if you wanted to get a little bit more involved on the planning level, we certainly would be happy to be working with the plan that you already put in place, whether it's something strategic such as a CRAT or a CRUT, which are all these wonderful acronyms that we probably don't have enough time to dive into, but there are ways to be very strategic as a part of a trust and estate plan for yourself. And then, if there's also some allocation within a trust to accelerates a percentage of that estate capital, any one of these opportunities is a way that you can certainly come to the table and participate in. And again, if you're not sure, we are here to help make sure that we can walk through this with you and any professionals that are in your circle, so that way we can get you to the place that makes the most sense for you. So that's the good news, is there are a lot of ways to cut the proverbial cake in this case, but we want it to be something that fits your situation, and allows you to fit this into your plans for the future.
Brian, we had a question that came in the chat.
Yeah.
To surface it. This was from one of our existing donors for Legacy Society, asking, as someone who joined the Legacy Society in 2011, do I need to sign up again or just recommit using the form on the website? Will my existing PIN suffice if I can't attend an annual convention for repinning?
No, and I see, I think Morgan probably got to this. So yeah, existing members don't need to sign up again. So we will carry this forward. If you are already a Legacy Society member, thank you. We certainly appreciate that. Thank you, Stephen, for being a member. And yeah, you shouldn't have to worry about doing anything new. But maybe just making sure everything is still up to date. If there were documents, as Tom was saying, I part of my little professional journey, I remember working in the banking business, and the number of times, through various iterations of relationships, where bank accounts and the titling of them, who was on an account, who was listed as a beneficiary. It's always a good thing to just check all of these things for yourself on a semi-regular basis, especially if you've gone through, life changes over the last, 2, 3, 5, 10 years. So.
Agreed. And I do just want to add one more piece to what Brian has also mentioned, in terms of those who are current donors and being grandfathered in with their current level pledge. We do have the opportunity for our current donors, if you'd like to increase your commitment. So say the initial threshold was $10,000. And so again, the new threshold is $15,000 as the entry level. And in terms of the benefits that you just seen a moment ago, if you'd like to receive the full suite of those benefits at the 15,000 level as a current donor, we would encourage you, of course, to increase your commitment, and you will have full access to those benefits. And for those of you who are at the $10,000 level as a current Legacy Society donor, whether it was 2011 or 2015, you will continue, to receive your current benefits as you have over the last few years. So just wanted to make sure I gave that clarification.
Excellent. Thank you for that as well. So if it's not already obvious, why consider doing this? And, I think all of us are here because we consider the association community as not just a valuable part of our professional life, but I think we also recognize and understand what associations do for, society and the world at large. And so this is a great way to be able to further that, and further the great work that is done within the ASAE community. So if that's something that you really want to connect to on a more meaningful level, and leave a gift for the future, that's why we would ask you to do that. There are also ways to do this that might allow you to yield some tax savings as well, depending on how you do this strategically. So if that's something that might motivate you, or you're currently engaged in, then that's certainly something we can help you kind of take a look at as well. And also the fact that there's flexibility, that you do have control over your pledge contributions. And so you can, if you had some particular interests in how those were to be directed, we want to give you the opportunity to do that as well. So there's a lot of reasons why, if you're here at the table and this is something you're thinking about, we would certainly welcome the opportunity to take the next step to talk to you about this a little bit more, to bring your advisors, your accountant, your attorney to the table, and have that kind of collective conversation to see what the best thing would be for your situation to take advantage of this and support the association community. Next slide, please. Thank you so much for the winner. I would say if we were in a room, give a round of applause for the great work of advancing the slides and putting this on Zoom. Thank you so much. So if you want to get started, we can have you join today. There is a form that we would just ask you to complete in order to indicate your interest in doing this. And so I also believe, if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, Maisha and Morgan, that this is something that you can find on the website as well.
Yes, that is correct. And I will drop a link in the chat in just a moment for you all.
Awesome. But certainly we would love to have you participating with the Legacy Society, and for those that are already Legacy Society members, we'd certainly welcome your support in sharing your story and sharing with friends and colleagues in the community why this was something that you decided to do and why it was meaningful to you, because we would love to have more members of your circle come to the table and consider if this is something that they want to do as well. You know, I think that it's been wonderful as a volunteer over the years just to see the kind of level of engagement and support to those in the community that are connected to the Research Foundation. And so it's a group of Stark Raving fans, as they say in the marketing world, and we would love to have more Stark Raving fans in this particular area helping to advance the cause here, because I think that there's a lot of opportunity and a lot of ways that we can really make the Research Foundation continue to expand its impact and its influence on moving society and the community forward. Let's just also give a shout out to all of the people who are already members of this wonderful society. Thank you to each and every one of you for making the commitment and being willing to do this. Because again, it's so meaningful and so impactful. And so we are very grateful to have a great wall of current people that are represented here, and look forward to seeing, you know, double or triple the number of names in the months and years to come. So yeah, we can wrap up today. Do please reach out if you're interested. Again, I know we provided a lot of information today, but if this is something that you'd like to explore, we would love to hear from you. I know that there are some on this call who have already made commitments, and we would, you know, love to hear your story, because we enjoy the reasons why any of us have come to the table to do this. And we also would just ask that you might share that with other members of your social circle and other ASAE members that you're connected to as well, because we really would like to see us expand the capabilities of the Research Foundation. And this is such a powerful and important way to do that. So we welcome your help in sharing this great story with others. And I think that's probably all I have. So I will kick it back to the foundation, to Morgan and to Maisha to wrap things up.
Excellent. Thank you all again. We appreciate your time today. If you have any questions to follow up, whether you'd like to direct it towards Brian, myself, Maisha Hedden with the ASAE Research Foundation, you are welcome to email us at asefoundation@asaecenter.org. I will quickly flip back over to Tom's slide so you can grab his contact information should you be inspired to reach out to him for more questions. My apologies. Tom, do you want to drop your email address in the chat?
Yeah, happy to do that. Give me just a second.
No problem. We'll keep the chat open in case anyone wants to hang back for an extra moment to capture that information. But we encourage you all to keep your eyes posted to the newsletters that will be coming out regarding new updates with the foundation, as well as more information regarding our upcoming events.
Great, I just posted it. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you all so much. Brian and Tom, we really appreciate your time today. Thank you all for leading this awesome conversation, and we hope to hear more from you all soon.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Bye now.